Hey guys, thank you for coming back to another episode of Cobra TV. On a side note, real quick, Revenge of the Survivor has not ended. We just got tied up in something going on, and that'll resume as quickly as possible. Today we're going to be talking about a game called Scum, and Scum is it's a game in development that is a new open world survival game, and yes, there is a lot of those games here as of late, and you know it's a growing genre of games that developers seem to be fighting for. But I think what makes these games stand out is the originality of some of these games, what makes them different than the other. And I think Scum really stands out of all the other survival games. Now we're going to be doing multiple videos on Scum because there is so much to cover, but in today's video we're going to be going over the story and what you're going to be doing in Scum and why it sets it apart from other survival games. But at first glance, it does seem like another zombie game, another open world zombie game like H1Z1 or DayZ and so many others, but it's not. But as said, we're going to be talking about the story in this first video of Scum and what we're going to be doing in the game once it's finally in our hands. Now, this title so far, when they were asked if it was going to be on consoles as well, they said for now, PC only. So, you know, these developers, they all have plans. They want their game to be on as many devices as much as possible. So it pretty much lies in the hands of, you know, is there anybody else that wants to publish this game? So I'm pretty sure if they were approached by Microsoft or Sony, they wouldn't say no. But in other videos, we're going to talk about, is there multiplayer? You know, we're going to try and figure out what the release date for this game is. I just came across this just now, and I'm just so excited. I had to go ahead and jump into the beginning and see what the, you know, the reason for us being in this this world of Scum. And it's just truly amazing. So let's go ahead and get right into it. There's a blog post that says not too distant future. And it starts off by saying, it is the time of the New World Order. Large private corporations have obtained absolute control over the world and its resources. Countries and governments are merely pawns controlled by money and the corporate interest. The whole world has united under the reign of greed for profit. In human history, there has never been a greater gap between the rich and the poor, between the elite and the rest. Everyone has been enslaved, turned into mere tools for creating more money for that 1% of the population, that privileged ones who regard themselves as rulers of the earth. Most of the population refuses to accept this state of affairs. The repressive police and military forces have been keeping things under control, but more and more people are starting to oppose the rulers, openly showing their disobedience and calling for justice. Labeled as criminals, terrorists, they are transported to a privately owned correctional facilities. Once locked away, they rarely live long enough to come out alive. In addition, the few who somehow manage to survive the prison terms usually develop serious mental disorders and die quickly upon the release, being unable to adapt back into society. There's even rumors about illegal experiments being conducted on the prisoners. As nothing has been proven so far, these remain merely unjustified claims. So what we got so far is we have prisoners, we have people who are not criminals really, but they're fighting against the system because the world is completely corrupt and there's slavery going on. And you know, when you get caught for going against the grain, you are arrested and you're dumped onto this island. But what happens once you get there is even more exciting. The next blog entry is titled Reality TV. The elite wants to keep things under control and retain the existing situation at all costs. Although the death penalty, for instance, is declared for lesser crimes, this doesn't help much. Finally, the proposition by TEC1, a global broadcasting company, is accepted and Project Island is launched. The solution it offers is very simple. Instead of oppressing people even more, a special TV reality show will be created and broadcast 24/7. As long as people are entertained, they will forget about the real problems. It's a concept that has proven itself effective many times before, and so it happens again. For the purpose of the show, the whole island is transformed into a heavily secured location. Throughout the area, broadcasting equipment is installed, and the island is then populated by modern-age gladiators and the prisoners, actually, sentenced to death. All former residents are moved to other locations. Those who don't want to leave are simply left to die. Prisoners themselves are parachuted from the sky in small groups and left to build their own violent society. Although the island's parameters are heavily guarded, many try to escape. However, there is no official confirmation that anyone has succeeded in their attempt. On the other hand, rumor has it that there are a few successful escapes during the first season of the show, and that a secret alliance of renegades has been formed by ex-cons to fight the oppression. So far, the government has neither confirmed or denied the existence of Renegades Resistance Movement. It goes on by saying body control implants BCU. For the purpose of the show, the convicts have biocontrolled units BCU-2 implanted in them, which connect directly to the spinal cord. BCU-2s are the very first mass-produced bioengineered AI units capable of controlling any kind of living organism. The BCU-1 was originally used for medical purposes only, to keep the brain-damaged patients alive by inducing a coma and stimulating their life functions until the patient got better. However, an upgraded version of the unit was then produced for the industrial and military purposes. This upgraded version, the so-called BCU-2, was a radio-controlled unit with more options, and it could replace all the subject's basic brain functions. What this means is once the real brain dies, the company could easily take over the subject's body and control it by simply programming code injected into the BCU-2 unit. The common practice of BCU-2 usage is to take control over the body when the subject dies. In this case, the BCU-2 starts to activate all subroutines, and it takes a few minutes for the unit to resume all body functions. Once this happens, the corpse is reanimated and is thus brought back to life to stay operational. The unit has to ensure a sufficient energy flow by food consumption. The subjects controlled by BCU-2 unit are programmed to attack the living convicts, and they feed off their flesh until the victim dies and becomes controlled as well. All BCU-2 units are capable of intercommunication via shortwave radio signals within the range of 250 meters. Depending on the programming, BCU-2 units can perform various bodily functions such as walking, running, jumping, climbing, and grasping. To a certain extent, they can even coordinate the limbs to perform complex actions such as wielding a weapon or throwing a rock. If the unit is fully charged, it may stimulate the body to move faster than a normal human being does. But as its energy runs out, the controlled subjects are slowed down and experience only occasional energy bursts. These subjects are also known as puppets, spooks, biters, walkers, pawns, roamers, or runners. The BCU-2 is capable of broadcasting footage directly from the subject's eye, and this feature has become extremely popular among the viewers. To be able to experience the very last moment seen by a dying man is an instant hit on television, and it has helped TEC1 to take reality TV to the next level. The software that controls the BCU-2 units can be upgraded from the TEC1 network servers in real time. There are rumors about the new software upgrades allowing pay-to-movie service, which enables the viewers to control their own puppets during the live show broadcast. Wow! All BCU-2 units are equipped with a locator and a small explosive charge, which activate if an attempt to remove the device has been made. It is not completely impossible to remove it, yet the removal process requires surgery and some knowledge in electronics. It is also recommended that it's carried out during general anesthesia. Also, BCU-2 units can be jammed and disabled for some time or permanently. For both options, additional hardware and software may be required. Jamming devices can limit or cut off the communication between the implant and master server by generating white noise. Using jammers for longer periods of time may result in the activation of the self-destruct subroutine within the BCU. Once it is activated, the convicts have a limited time to restore the BCU's connection with the master server. When the connection is restored, the self-destruct sequence is turned off. To disable the implant, the BCU has to be reprogrammed to stimulate correspondence with the master server. This is done with a device capable of making the connection with the BCU and certain software that acts as an upgrade. Before disabling the unit, it is necessary to cut off its connections with the master server, otherwise the unit will detect an unauthorized access and trigger the self-defense sequence. All the puppets can be terminated only if their BCU is destroyed or removed. The implants can be manually torn off the back of the neck or smashed by striking them with a hard object. Once the units have been destroyed or removed, the self-destruct sequence will initiate, announced by a beeping sound, and after 30 seconds, the explosive charge will be activated. Okay, so far what we have here is we got a reality TV show. They found a way to deal with the overpopulation of the prisoners that they had by putting them on an island and creating a reality TV show. And so far we have puppets. They are dead humans that they have a chip in them and can take control of their bodies after they're dead and reanimate them. And so it's a nice twist on zombies. I think that's amazing. It's not just the undead. These are being controlled by technology, and I think that's really cool. And so these zombies, you know, if you happen to kill them or beat them into submission or something like that, these things are going to blow up. So imagine you're playing this game and you know you're taking out one of these puppets or zombies or things like that, and you know all of a sudden you hear that beeping noise. It's time to get the heck out of there. All right, so this next post actually starts to cement in some of the story. The name of the game is the blog post title: "The convicts are transferred to the island by air." Convicts meaning you. Before the departure, they are allowed to take a few items with them. They can select them from a list of offered items. These serve for defense, and they are knife, brass knuckles, pepper spray, hand axe, etc. And for survival, you have pocket Swiss knife, compass, flashlight, map, lighter, matches, survival guide, fishing gear, and so on. Protection, you got bug repellent, small first aid kit, bandages, antiseptic wipes, alcohol, butterfly closure strips, or they can compromise plain food and water ratios. Military MRE 0.51 bottle of water, canned food. The newcomers are dressed in standard prison jumpsuits of orange color and provided with parachutes. Once they are delivered to the drop location, they are pushed off the plane. Most manage to operate the parachute, survive the fall, but it is not uncommon for the prisoners on the island to wait and kill the newcomers when they are in the air, looting their bodies upon landing. It is recommended to activate the parachutes as late as possible to buy some time for an escape out of the drop location. Except for the convicts, the planes also drop supplies for the prisoners on the ground. These can contain anything from food to weapons to ammunition to clothing and gadgets. Sometimes fake booby-trapped supplies are dropped too. The drop supplies are regarded as hot zones because they attract gangs of prisoners who fight among themselves for the dropped cargo. So yeah, we got these little drop pods coming from the planes, and some of them could mean life or death. Some of them contain food, some of them have weapons, and some of these drop pods are there just to kill you. So that's amazing. Once they are on the ground, the convicts are free to do whatever they want in order to survive. There are no strict rules. Most of them do get killed within the first 24 hours. The rest of those that manage to survive have a chance to achieve the celebrity status and become as popular as movie stars. The celebrity status might provide them with additional sponsored items that are dropped in the vicinity of their location. However, the same status may prove to be dangerous. Being loved by viewers is a good thing. Still, gaining too much popularity will put a price on your head. The easiest way to get attention and gain popularity is to kill a celebrity. Popularity points achievements are somewhat proportional to the time of survival on the island. Most kills usually means more popularity points, but sometimes the plain survival and escape from difficult situations could bring even more points. It's not unusual for the audience to identify with positive characters' suffering and struggles. Although extremes always attract the viewer's attention, positive characters rarely stay alive long enough. In the first seasons of the show, a few exceptionally positive characters grouped up to survive. Eventually, the group became larger, influential, and strong enough to start reorganizing chaos into a well-balanced society. Soon enough, the audience started to regard them as heroes, and hope rised among the common people, followed by an increase in disobedience towards the government and the ruling elite. As canceling the show would have made people even angrier, the producers decided to provide positive characters with tougher challenges, and several new deadly scenarios are staged in an attempt to eliminate the leaders of the group, who always miraculously managed to survive. The ratings went up and the whole world starts watching the show. It all ends with the leader of the group disappearing at the end of the first season while engaging in conflict with the hunters. A mercenary squad dropped onto the island to hunt and kill prisoners for trophies. Apparently, their bodies completely disintegrated after an explosion. And that's what the producers claim. This grand finale episode breaks all the ratings. Supposedly over 70% of the population watched the end of the first season. Thus, The Island became the most successful show in the history of television. The story doesn't end here. A few weeks after the first season has ended, the first activities of Renegade Resistance movement are recorded. Allegedly, the lead characters have survived, removed their implants, and managed to get off the island. The rest of their allies break into smaller groups, and the affairs on the island soon gravitate towards the initial chaotic state. The newcomers have to secure the bare necessities first, which means that they have to search for food, water, and clothes. However functional they may be, the orange prison jumpsuits are easy to spot from a distance, and one of the rules of survival is to blend in with surroundings as much as possible. Nobody wants to be a target. There are plenty of things lying around the island waiting to be found. Items can be obtained from puppets or other players too, but usually they will be reluctant to give their possessions away. Every encounter can be potentially lethal, and it is desirable to be very careful when other convicts or puppets are encountered. Other than that, the convicts can form clans, gather supplies together, but it is always a good thing not to trust anybody because friends on the island are as frequent as tooth fairies. Once per day, the top 5 most popular convicts are projected by the BCU implants to all prisoners on the island. Most of the prisoners create a base or a stronghold once they group up and decide that they will stay on the same place for a longer time. The group has to be strong enough to be able to defend their base against all attacks, and if they succeed in doing so, they may become an influential factor in the region. On several occasions during the show, the prisoners try to establish their communities, and some of them even last for longer periods. Unfortunately, no group manages to survive for the duration of the whole season, mostly because of the conflicts among the existing factions. So I wonder if, I just came across this game, and I'm reading this all for the very first time. I'm wondering if this is a hint to, that it's multiplayer, and as players, we can either kill each other or work together and live longer. Curious to know. We're learning about this as we are going, so truly amazing. Okay, so on to the last blog post about the story. Almost during the whole first season of the show, there are no other scenarios than capturing life or death situations between prisoners and puppets. Occasionally, encounters with wild animals or former island residents are presented as well, but it's only at the end of the first season that the producers decide to spice things up with custom-based scenarios. The main reason for interfering with the lives of the prisoners on the island is to keep under control the faction that threatens to take over the island. A special tactics group is deployed directly at the headquarters. The audience welcomes this outer interference, and for the next season, the producers arrange several scenarios to pump up the tensions on the island. Firstly, the puppets are upgraded with a new kind of software and become capable of performing more actions, group movement, and action. Now it's possible to carry out a large-scale attack on a certain area, or route a horde of puppets to roam in certain directions. These hordes then serve as moving walls that can block or redirect prisoners' movements, even split large groups into smaller ones if necessary. For the purpose of the show, the producers also arrange the control over the weather conditions. Most of the time that they leave it as is, but sometimes when it's necessary for the atmosphere, they change the ambient setting by pulling on the clouds and starting storms. Large-scale disasters such as forest fires, earthquakes, and floods can be initiated at will. Even genetically modified pests like mosquitoes and killer bees can be released on certain areas upon request. Companies have invested large sums of money on bioengineering. Years of research and development have been spent to create special animal breeds for military purposes and attacks. These animals wear implants with the last generation of the BCUs, have a natural body armor. Some of them even possess bioweapons, while others are genetically modified crossbreeds. It is not unusual for these species to be tested on the island. Wow. Company would drop a few of those creatures on a certain area and leave them to cause havoc until they are dead. Each generation of these bioanimals gets improved until the perfect killer is created. In the second season, Company will introduce special hunting sessions episodes featuring viewers as participants of the show. Some of them are rich citizens and others are picked as lottery winners. They are deployed on the island for a limited period, 1 to 3 days, and left there to hunt for the prisoners. The hunters with high scores are given wealthy rewards, usually money or stocks, but most of them are there for fun and glory. Their goal is to track down popular convicts and kill them. The more popular victims will assure more praise from the audience. All the hunters choose their weapons and armor. They are usually heavily equipped, but that does not guarantee that they will get out of the island alive. Actually, the mortality rate among them is high because most of them come to the island unprepared. Also, the convicts see them as a fantastic opportunity to get a hold of weapons, armor, and other tech toys. It's not unusual that the convicts turn the tables and hunt the hunters down to get their goodies. And guess what? That is what the viewers like best. Once their deployment time runs out, the hunters have to pick a zone where some sort of transportation awaits them. If they miss their ride, they remain on the island until the next group of hunters is deployed. And that ends the blog post about the story. Wow. So, we're going to do some further investigation. We're actually going to be recording most of the videos today as we're going through this. But I'm sitting here wondering if you can play as a hunter or with other online players. And, how multiplayer is this game going to be? But this is truly shaping up to sound like a really amazing title. And I'm totally blown away by the scenario that they're actually throwing us into. It reminds me of quite a few movies like Death Race and Gamer, the movie Gamer from a while back. It's truly a unique take on the survival genre. And I think what would be really, really, really awesome is if the developers could actually take and have something on their website to where people who don't own the game, maybe they don't own a gaming PC, or maybe they don't want to buy the game, maybe they don't like survival games, but maybe be able to tune into a server and have these cameras where they can actually watch these things play out, other people playing the game and surviving and getting away from these hordes, these puppets, and getting away from hunters and seeing if they can escape and how long they can survive. It would be really amazing to be able to just tune in from a website if you don't own the game and just watch it all play out. I don't think that's been done yet for a video game. And since this game is heavily around it being a reality TV show, and people, the audience is like involved in watching it and they're hyped about it and everything like that, I think it would be amazing if you actually made that to a real audience at the same time. So maybe that's something for the developers to think about. I don't know how possible or feasible that actually could be. I think it'd be really kind of possible. Other than that, then, watching YouTubers upload their own videos and, that there's another way to see it. But I think of an official channel to where you can tune into these servers and watch people play the game via their website would even be better. Well, that's all we got for today right now. We just wanted to tackle the story here just real quick. But we are going to be making several videos on Scum. So stay on the lookout for some of those. We're going to tear this apart as much as possible. But tell us what you think about Scum down below. Is it something that you're interested in? Is it something that you would like to see come to consoles? As always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming back to Cobra TV. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.